Hello and welcome to the Talkin Bits podcast. I am your host, Michael, and I was just doing something very weird with my arm whenever I clicked record, so sorry for the video listeners. With me
I'm more sorry for the audio listeners.
With me... Yeah, because I fucking explained it. Yeah. With me is a man who needs no introduction. Ooh. He is the founder of Don't Tell Tri-Cities.
Wow.
He's been doing comedy for 2 years.
Wow.
He's got the hottest mom. It's
wow.
Somebody
is trying to get booked, ladies and gentlemen. That is a real switch up from your usual intro, which is the other guy.
I thought that'd be nice this week. I don't know. I was feeling nice.
It's refreshing. Good. I appreciate it.
I feel like if I'm mean every week, it's just not as funny. So like,
that's true.
I'll keep it nice.
The rarity of it.
Yeah. I was nice to you the whole episode too.
You were. This was a great episode. This is a good one. This is another one of those guests that we've talked about many times on the show.
Yep.
We've tried to get in here. We've had some scheduling things on our side, on his side, different things. Even today's episode was a pain to get nailed together
because
we had to move. Michael's fucking difficult. We
having
different
a
things.
Kid, you know?
Yeah. So different things, but we finally got him here, and I think I'm glad we did.
Yeah,
it was very fun.
One of my favorites. Honestly, I dropped a comedian that Nathaniel's never heard of.
That's right.
And
that's a first.
That's pretty cool. So, but no, it was good. Lance Adams, who's with us today, he been doing comedy for 11 years.
11 years. Yeah.
He has a lot of impressions.
Yes, which was unexpected.
I made him do a lot.
Michael made him dance like a cheap monkey, and so he's like dance, and he did, and he did some fun stuff for us.
I made the darkest joke I've ever made, and I haven't decided if I'm going to cut it yet.
It's gonna stay. It's gonna stay. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. It was a fun episode.
It was great,
honestly, I think the advice that we got at the end of it was. It was very unique. It was the first time we'd ever gotten that advice, and I liked that a lot. But no, I loved this episode, and I think you guys are gonna love it also. Yeah,
and towards the end of the show, also we really, I think, stayed true to the name and started literally talking bits, which, if you don't know, is basically speaking in tongues. But for comedians, we're speaking a language you can't interpret.
Me and Lance were talking about Chris and Porter's Ugly and Angry special, and we did about half the jokes, and Nathaniel's never seen it.
Nope. So tune in to see that special ruin for me at the end.
Yep.
If you're listening to this, please go follow us on YouTube. Check out the video. You know, all that good stuff. But this is a good one.
I like it. Yep. Enjoy. All right, and we are back with Mr. Lance Adams.
Thank you. Good to be back here.
Yes,
Thank y'all for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome.
Good.
I want to address something up top. We've I think done exactly one show together with Ryan O'Flanagan.
That's right.
I hosted that show. I've talked about it before. I introduced you as the Pride of Morristown, and I don't know why I did that, and I just kind of want to apologize.
I mean, there are worse titles you could be given, I guess.
I don't think you told me. I think you. I was like,
the disappointment of Morristown would have been worse.
Yeah, I could have said much worse. You were like, I knew very little about you because I just met you, and I was like, how do I introduce this guy? And I said Pride of Morristown, and there was no reason.
I mean, that really just puts me in a league with the Evil Dead Cabin. I think that's just the two of us. I think so.
I think you're funnier than it.
Yeah. I think, and I still exist, so that's a big thing.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So, welcome to our humble little podcast.
I'll say that's not what I thought you were going to address up top. So I think I have something to address.
Well,
you brought it up first today, so I'm going to let you.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say we had planned on, kind of talking points of the show, and number one was gonna be the beard.
I saw that coming.
It's gotta be the beard, right? And then you show up with a real curveball.
I know.
You've trimmed the beard.
I know.
Yeah, after 9 years, I decided to till the soil and let the garden grow again.
I honestly didn't recognize you whenever I walked down to my basement. I was like, I thought we were recording with Lance.
Yeah, it's been, it was to March 17th, 2015. So
wow,
a part of
me growing the beard.
A part of me was hoping we would have enough time to record the intro before you got here, which we don't always do, but sometimes we do. And I was hoping that we just really hyped up the beard.
Yeah,
and then you showed up without it.
Yeah.
It's still here. It's just
there, it
is significantly different, and it's coming back. It's been about 2 months since I trimmed it down. I really was just ready for change. It's been 9 years. I guess as you guys know, I travel around and do beard competitions.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even competed in the World Beard and Mustache Championship in 2017.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome.
You won something, or
I came in 63rd.
Yeah.
In all fairness, I tied for 63rd, but that guy ain't here on your podcast. So as far as we're concerned,
you're 63rd.
This was 63rd in 2017.
Yeah.
And so I travel around. I MC some stuff. I'll be MCing Beardanuga coming up soon in Chattanooga.
Oh, that's
so I'm
awesome.
still involved. I still love it.
Beardanuga's a dope name.
It sure is.
That's
It's
cool.
That, actually.
the best one, though, one of my favorites in Louisville, Kentucky, they have a wrestling-themed beard competition called Whisker Mania every year.
That's cool.
I like that
That's
too.
super dope.
That
I
is
like
cool.
the beard community.
Yeah.
Just with these clever names.
Now, here's the thing: the beard community. I'll give a quick shout out. I know we're here to talk comedy as
Yeah.
a general rule,
No,
but
please.
it's all charity based,
Yeah.
right? So nobody wins anything but like a trophy or whatever, and those are all donated. And that's why I love doing it, is because I did one in Chattanooga a couple years ago to help raise money for a family with a handicapped son for a wheelchair accessible van.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
They were there. So it wasn't just like
Yeah.
Cancer Charities of America like it normally is.
Right.
I got to work all day, and because I got to do like the auction. So
Yeah.
I'm actually helping to help raise money by, hey, who's got this? Who's got this? You going to let this get away? Come on. And so that's part of what they have me do because I'm a comedian. That's how I got really into this. I guess my local club in Knoxville was like, we're doing a competition and we need an MC. We know you're a comedian. Do you want to do this? I was like, yeah. And other clubs were there that night and were like, yo, we want that dude. And so I've got a chance to get to do this. But that was my favorite because I got to raise money for this family who was there, and their son Lincoln, who I'm still friends with him to this day, was there. He's nonverbal at the time. He was I don't know, maybe 10 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
But he's nonverbal, and he's chair bound, and so I finally got done through the day. I go to kind of get in line to meet him because everybody's coming behind. He's the celebrity of the day, right? And so he's laying there just kind of staring off into space like nonverbal kids do.
Yeah.
I came up and I was like, hi, Lincoln, it's Lance. And where I guess he'd heard my voice all day, he just went nuts. Like you could see him light up like a candle.
That's
He
awesome.
was
That's awesome, yeah.
Dude, I had to turn away. I was crying.
Yeah.
Like, so I talked to him for a minute, and like apparently he's a big Star Wars fan. So I talked Star Wars for a minute, and then I was like, Lincoln, I got to go, buddy. You got a whole line here, man. Love you. And I turned away bawling, and Grandpa's there and Dad's there, and we just hugged. And man, that's what it's about. And so I love doing it, raising money for the kids. But the thing is, it's fun because there's just a stupid irony to it. It's like, hey, I got a trophy because my ancestor came from a colder place than your ancestor. Yay, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's really it, right? Like I didn't do anything, you know.
Yeah.
When I first decided I was going to do the World's Championship, I made a joke that I was going to start training for the World's Beard and Mustache Championship. And a friend of mine commented on the post. He was like, "So you're going to do nothing?" And I was like,
Yeah.
That's
Just
let
gonna
it
be
grow.
patient.
yeah, that's really it. And so it's everybody seems to be there for the right reasons. I'm sure there's drama somewhere. Statistically speaking, there has to be an asshole in the bunch somewhere. I've never met him. Versus like comedy, music. If you're in any scene, you guys know it. There's dickheads everywhere. It's ego. It's hard to find. Now, luckily, the Blue Ridge here in the Tri-Cities, I mean, it seems drama free. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Joe Bridges.
It's close.
Okay,
No, I'm
fair,
just
that's
kidding.
fair. But
I'm
I
just
just
joking.
I don't see what I see other
I'm
places.
just
Yeah.
kidding. I
You're
love
right,
Joe.
you're right.
And that's a rarity in any artistic scene. But luckily,
Yeah.
in the bearding community, you just don't see that because
Yeah.
everybody's there for the right reasons. Hey,
Yeah.
let's have some fun, drink some beer, and raise money for little kids or for cancer or
Yeah.
for bald eagle research or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
so I do love doing it. So
The first time I met you at that show, you had something on your for your beer.
Yeah,
That, like you
yeah.
remember that?
I do. It's in my bag right now. I carry it everywhere I go. It's a mustache guard that sits over my cup.
Oh, right,
So
right.
if I get a draft beer at a
Yeah.
show, it keeps everything dry
That's
and clean.
awesome.
Yeah,
So
it was just
I don't go on stage looking like a sloppy cartoon.
Yeah.
we talked
That's
about
awesome.
that for
Yeah.
like 5 minutes, which is a long
Yeah.
time to talk about a beer. You know what I mean?
That's a cool little
Yeah.
attachment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you also you mentioned Blue Ridge and the community being supportive, and I think we've had not everybody that's a part of the Blue Ridge quote unquote
Almost.
family.
Yeah.
Almost everybody on the show.
Yeah, I'm
And,
sure
there's-
we've missed a couple.
Yeah.
Just scheduling.
Some of them
but-
So far.
multiple
You've
times.
missed a couple so far.
We'll
Yeah.
get there.
Give yourself the credit.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We're only in year
we've
one.
also had Sean and his wife Sarah on the show.
Yeah.
And I think honestly the community that you're referencing is just a testament to Sean because
I can
there
see that.
was a community before to some degree, but obviously not at the level that he brought here with Blue Ridge. But he has facilitated that support system, and of course there's drama. It's like any family. There's drama and there's flare ups and stuff. But for the most part, it's been
I think
sensational.
It's for the most. Yeah, I would say mostly
and rare
drama
too,
free.
like you were saying, like as far as communities go. And on the topic of Blue Ridge, I don't know what your introduction to Lance was, Mike. I think it might have been the same show. It was a knockout, I believe.
Nope, my first one was.
I've never done the knockouts.
Different ones?
No.
Okay, what was it?
I did the Blue Ridge Funniest
Blue Ridge
twice in a year.
Funniest.
Yeah,
Maybe
We
that's
did.
what it was.
I did Ryan O'Flanagan show with him. He
Before, okay.
featured. I
Yeah.
think.
'Cause Ryan and I had worked
Pruitt
together
opened.
before. Ryan and I had worked together before, and actually was like, "Hey, I'm coming through. Who's got spots?" And so because I set that gig up, Brian was like, "Do you want to feature?" And I was like,
Yeah.
I think we both know the answer to that. Of course I do." I was like, yes, I do. And so Sean was like, "Yeah, cool with me."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I hosted that weekend. Pruitt opened, and you featured. I don't think Pruitt opened both nights, but yeah, he featured both.
That's
nights.
a great show too. I think that it must have been Blue Ridge's Funniest then. I just have a very vivid memory of you going up and destroying. And I had never seen your comedy. I knew your name just from other people, but you had an amazing set. And jokes, obviously, when you see a comedian you've never seen for the first time, even as a comedian, it's so exciting because you're like, where has this guy been my whole life? Yeah. And it's, and you don't know what's coming, and it's exciting. And I have a very vivid memory of standing in the back by the bar, and you were sitting in a chair when they were announcing the winners. And when they announced your name, I just saw almost like disbelief, I think, on your face.
I actually did tear up. I'm a real emotional guy.
Yeah.
I make no lie about it. Like I'll cry at a Muppet wedding in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Doesn't think about it, right? And so, it was. It really caught me because I'm as ego as you have to do this, right? You have to have some ego to stand in front of people and read your poems, wrestle an opponent, any form of performing art. You have to have some form of ego.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have that, but at the same time, I'm fairly sure that I'm a giant steaming pile of shit as a human being. And so I do still have all that self-loathing and doubt. And so as much as I want and I believe at those moments, I'm still baffled when it happens.
Right.
The validation still surprises me.
You're still humble,
Which I guess is good.
Yeah.
It's the
I
same
think it's
reason.
good.
Because I talk about, I still get nervous 11 years into this, telling some jokes that I've told off and on for years and consistently know them well and can do it. I still get nervous.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, really? And I was like, yeah, that doesn't ever go away. And I think if it does, it means you stop giving a shit.
Yeah.
So
I
to
think
me,
so.
it's like you should always get nervous. I've been fucking the same person for 20 years. I still get nervous when it comes to time, right? It's like, because I care. I'm interested in what I'm doing. So I want to be invited back and in both circumstances. So it's like you should be nervous. You should always have that fear that this could go wrong. Anytime you think, I got this, you're fucking up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that show, too, I do remember that night, and I remember one joke specifically that for, I don't know, 6 months after that, I told anybody who would listen to me that I was like, you're not going to believe what this guy fucking said. Your joke about your family treats you like a god.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
easily, just on paper, if you were to write that joke out, it may be my favorite joke that I've heard in person. Just the wording, the writing it's my favorite joke. It's a perfect joke for my just sensibility, and I'm sure there's. Do you ever find that crowds have an adverse reaction to jokes like that?
Sometimes I've had people. And again, I'm not an anti-religious person. I'm a believer, but I've had some people will shout out some religious something, and I just kind of ignore it and steamroll over it.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have a style that if I don't want to let you have control, you don't. I just kind of steamroll over it. I hate hecklers.
Right.
And I don't deal with it. I don't engage in it.
Yeah. You're like a big storytelling comic,
tough.
so like hecklers.
Yeah, that could really screw it with the momentum.
Yeah, like
of your story.
Like shorter joke comics. I mean, hecklers are like just kind of part of it, but like storytelling's like.
Right. My average joke's about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I can't do a lot of open mic because they're like, hey, you got 3 minutes and a free beer. And it's like, I can't
Three's
work with
tough.
3 minutes
Yeah.
for me because it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Because my average joke, where most comics are average joke is a minute and a half maybe, I'm looking 4 or 5 minutes. So
a comedy knockout would be rough.
That's why I don't do it. That's
impossible.
the very reason I don't do it.
You'd have one joke. You'd have one joke, break it into 5 parts just to get
that's
the.
why I really don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or like the roast battles. And
Those are tough,
I like roasting. I like doing roasts. I say we in Knoxville, which is where I started. That's where I came out of.
Yeah.
Was the Knoxville scene. We used to do parody roasts a lot. And that's actually kind of how I got, I guess, my name, he said, quote unquote, air quotes here, in the local scene there. That's how I kind of made my 2 cents in. But we used to do parody roasts. Like before I started, I knew about, like, they did the roast of Batman, and everybody came as comic characters, and they did the roast of Harry. I love
that. Is really fun. We need to do one of those.
I
locally.
agree. I fucking love these. And the one that came up, I'd been doing. I started in like November, and then they announced they were going to be doing this in like January. They were going to do the roast of Hulk Hogan. And at the time, I had the head shave, the goatee. I was like, bro, you got to let me do Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
And the guy who put him together, who was kind of really the guy that got me started in comedy, was Jeff Blank. And he was like, man, I don't know. You just started. Nobody knows you.
Yeah.
I don't know. And he was like, and that's the part everybody wants. It's like the Brady Bunch, everybody wants Dopey, right?
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know if you get the reference, right?
Sure. Oh,
but
yeah,
he was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
everybody wants to play Dopey. And he was like, that's the one. And I was like, bro, please. I had to make a commitment. I was like, I will go to every open mic every week. I'll do whatever. Please give me that gig. You know I got this. He was like, okay, I'm going to do this. But I just want you to know, I don't trust this will go well. And they gave me the gig.
Love the confidence.
It's cool.
Yeah. And so I went and bought wrestling trunks. I bought an actual pair of black wrestling trunks, which to this day I've got more fucking mileage out of than any $39 I've ever spent in my entire life.
Respect.
I ride motorcycles, so I had a black leather vest.
That's awesome.
I went and bought one of those little kid toy plastic belts, and I shaved everything north and south of the Mason-Dixon line. Totally pointless, but I did it anyway.
Beautiful.
And so
you got to look stage ready,
It was
man.
great. And they were like, we're going to put you on first because that way if you bomb, we can recover. I was like, fair. It was like Jimi Hendrix opening for the Monkees.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was great. I came out. I did my damn thing. You want to know what Stone Cold? And because I was a wrestling fan, I did everything like a promo. It was great. It was fantastic. Right.
We'll be right back. That's
I love it,
right
dude.
there. That's
how we're
promoting the show.
I had my beer.
Perfect.
I had 4 beer and a 6-pack holder. And I came out and crashed 2 together. And I tell you, I did the head bobbing and the weave. It was great. Right. I loved it.
It's good. It's good.
I'm
For our audio listeners, I just want to say Steve Austin is not in the studio today.
I'm going to close my eyes and just let him talk and be like, reliving my childhood.
It's good. It's really good.
Thank you. And it was the first time I ever did it. It was great. I loved it. And again, like I said, it was like Jimi Hendrix opening for the Monkees. Because the person who followed me, she wasn't a wrestling fan. She was in over her head, and she decided to do Brooke Hogan, and it bombed.
Right.
Bombed.
Right.
But I was like, all right. Before the night was over, they were like, okay, you're in. You're one of us. Here's our next roast. We already have you cast. And I was like, okay.
That's cool.
The next one they were like, hey, we're going to do the roast of Axl Rose, and we want you to be Rob Halford from Judas Priest.
Ooh, yeah, that's cool.
And
That's a good one,
I got
too.
this. So
I feel like you're being typecasted for these roasts.
It was for a while.
It's a very niche.
But I love these characters. Yeah, they were like, we need a bald dude. I was like, I got you. And then for a long time, I was the bearded guy. I got to be. I did Herschel for the Walking Dead roast.
Oh, that's dope.
That's cool.
They did a roast of Charlie Brown. I went as Hagar the Horrible. So I
cool,
did a
too.
couple good ones.
Out of The Walking Dead, who were y'all roasting from The Walking Dead?
Rick Grimes, technically.
What were some of the? Sorry, I love The Walking Dead. I'm just like,
it was great. I'll show you my Herschel.
Michael
it
just
was
got
good.
rock hard.
It was good. It was good.
I did. I got some roast for Rick Grimes.
And they still did some. They brought in we had somebody show up as Jon Snow. That was the thing because we cross-platform and stuff. But with the roast of Axl Rose for Rob Halford, I get to do the funniest thing I'll ever do in my entire career. So again, I ride motorcycles, so I own a lot of leather gear. It just makes sense. So it's perfect. If you're gonna do a gay icon, that's a very that Venn diagram's a fucking circle.
That's true.
And so right, it's true. It's 100% true. It's like biker. 70s gay dude.
Yeah.
Venn diagram? Nah, man, that's a circle.
There's some
it's
overlap.
the same,
There's
right?
definitely
Exactly.
some overlap.
Like a huge amount of people that are both people. So anyway.
That's true.
So I
Happy Pride Month, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
exactly what a way to kick this off. And so I had the head shaved. I grew the goatee out a little bit, and I spray painted black because I'm actually a ginger, as you know. So I spray painted black. My wife Sharpied like a lightning bolt tattoo on one side and like a smiley face on the other, just for a little comedy. I had my black leather shirt, my black leather tie, my black leather vest, my black leather jacket, my black leather gloves. I had my jeans on and I had my chaps, right? I was ready. Had my
Assless chaps, right?
All chaps are assless. Otherwise, they're just leather pants. I had my aviators on, right? I don't know if you guys knew that, but yeah, all chaps are assless.
I'll
Otherwise,
say this:
they're
that's
just
not the
leather
first
pants.
time he said that.
That
came out rehearsed.
If you ever sell merch, you just need to put that on there.
Absolutely.
Don't have a joke about it. Just
do it.
I'll
Just have
design
it.
that sticker for you tonight.
All right. So, You're gonna appreciate how this goes better than anything. So, and I had my chaps and I had my aviators on, and throughout the night I had on long black leather coat and I had the little captain's Harley hat on, right? So this time they put me last. It was supposed to be the very end was me, Slash, of course, whoever played Slash, and then Axl Rose. So I got to go at the end. So they were like, clearly we reversed this. Awesome. It comes my time. I've sat there all day, all nice and patiently. I get up, all diva-like. I take my hat off. I set it on the stand. I take my coat off. I lay it on the stand. I walk to the podium, and that's when all the comics on the dais realize I've cut the ass out of my jeans, and there's my bare ass just mooning the comics for 8 minutes while I basically pepper in dick jokes as often as I can.
That is so fucking funny, dude.
There's a great picture that goes with this. One of the comics got a picture.
Oh, my God.
My set is over. I step out away from the dais. I bow to the audience. I turn and bow to the dais, mooning the audience, letting them know what's been going on for 8 minutes.
Oh, my God.
I go sit down. And even the host of the roast walked. He was like, I got, here's Slash. And so the guy that comes with Slash, he was like, I don't.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Like,
how do you follow that?
They were so mad. Everybody was so mad.
That's
and I was
funny.
like, I will never do anything funnier than this again in my entire life.
Yeah.
That's a cheat code for roasting, really.
Yeah. How did the audience react? Like when they
Loved
saw
it,
that?
Loved
like,
it. Everybody went fucking nuts. Loved
Dude.
it.
Well, also, I'm sure they're like, why are the comedians laughing so
that's
much
it.
for
When
8 minutes?
I couldn't even start my set for like a minute. Like when I walk to the podium and they get that first glance, they just start dying laughing. And I have to give it a moment. I was like, oh, you cheeky monkeys.
That's
Do you
amazing.
mind? I haven't even told my first joke yet. And so they laugh. And I was like, I want to make an ass out of myself. And then it kept going, right?
That's great.
So I kept, but I couldn't even do my set because they just wouldn't hush.
Yeah.
One of the comics has this great shot of me like leaning over the dais and just there's
That's
my fucking
amazing.
ass just hanging out.
dude.
Headshot. That's a headshot right there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I those like or not celebrity roast. Those like
The parody
parody
roast. I
roast,
love 'em.
dude. That
I
sounds
fucking love
like
'em.
It's fun. Yeah.
Have you done one of those?
No, so I've seen some pictures of Knoxville back in the day when they did those. In fact, somebody I want to say in the last week, I saw a clip that someone posted and was like, here was me X amount of years ago on one of those roasts we used to do.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, and it was some Knoxville comic that I'm friends with on social media. And so I was aware of them. But yeah, I think it's a fun idea.
That
it's
sounds
super
like
fun.
There's just a difference in writing in character. There's something really fun about that. I love the character work. I love doing it. And so I just absolutely loved that that character work. That was just you get through the accent and the costume and I loved it. I just thought it was stupid fun. Stupid.
I feel like
cool
you're on your
writing
phone
exercise,
looking up a picture of your butt right now.
Yeah. I got a couple you'll appreciate.
I feel like this
Some
is
of them aren't even at the roast.
Yeah,
They're
some of
just-
them
were just last night.
We did a roast of Game of Thrones and I wasn't watching anymore.
I think that's the one that I saw.
And I was like, I don't have anything for that. And if it's not perfect, I won't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. And finally I was like, I'm going to go as a Starbucks cup. It was right after it ended. So I was like, I'm going to go as a Starbucks cup.
Yeah, that's fun.
And I did.
Did you watch Game of Thrones or did that joke just
I just know
get
that
lost
from
on you?
the headlines.
Okay.
Like at the time.
that was
I didn't
me.
watch the show.
I wasn't watching anymore. That was 100% me. I was like, I don't. I used to watch, and then I just kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't.
It's a lot.
I don't know anybody. Oh, we did a roast of Superman. I forgot it was Professor X.
That's a cool one,
My
too.
wife's disabled, so I had a wheelchair, so it was a perfect setup.
Yeah, that's fun.
I was like, when it rains.
Yeah.
House of the Dragon season 2 starts this week. What's up? Anyway, go ahead.
I stopped watching at I think the Red Wedding season, and it wasn't because of the Red Wedding. That's just where I was like, I don't
tough.
think I care anymore. I was like,
You heard
kill
about
them
the Red
all.
Wedding?
I fucking
I know about White Wedding by Billy Idol. Is
Not
that
the same.
Okay.
No.
All right. That's not.
A lot more blood at this one.
Yeah.
I don't. That show is too much for me. I don't have that kind of time in my life.
Not
I
about-
just don't have that kind of time.
Is the incest a little too much in the first episode?
No, I
for
mean
you?
I could start it, but it would
Alright.
be 10 years before I finished it.
For your personal. There's Herschel.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
Hell yeah, dude, you look just like
that's
him.
really
Herschel.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did this for the roast of Game of Thrones, and then there was a Walking Dead convention, and I went. There was a big cash prize for a costume contest, and I was like, I will win this.
Oh yeah.
I lost to a 3-year-old in an Energizer Bunny costume she had bought.
Annoying.
It was.
Who was she?
On the show, yeah, oddly enough, not just a little kid who everybody thought was cute. And you can't argue with that. You're like, motherfucker.
But who was like she even like trying to?
Nobody.
No, mom and dad just put her in
a costume
Energizer.
a
And
bunny
I'm sure
costume.
Mom and dad spent the money. So
Yeah.
they
I
owe me
demand
like
a recount.
$300
I think that's
$300
bullshit.
Yeah.
I do. That's
That's
probably
crazy.
years ago, but let's go.
Yeah, I'm still bitter.
Lance, you kind of touched on it a moment ago, but you said I think you've been in comedy for 11 years. Is that correct?
Yep, 11 years.
Wow.
I started like November-ish of 2013.
Oh, there's a
Oh,
but.
that's phenomenal. Yeah. For our audience who is not going to be able to see this because YouTube, but this is a fantastic image. This is I'll say a bird's eye view of what was going on behind the scenes, literally. And there's the Starbucks.
There's
cup.
a
That's
oh,
wonderful.
you just that no pants on underneath.
No, the wrestling trunks. I told you, I've got more mileage out of that pair of
Right.
wrestling trunks
Yeah.
than ever before.
How did the
Yeah.
audience react when you came out in the Starbucks cup?
Loved it.
That's
Loved
awesome.
it. Yeah, yeah.
That's
'Cause
so
I
funny.
felt like a walking one of those. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
You do look like.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I was a barista at Starbucks for 3 years. We had a training video with you in it, I think. Where you. That's kind of crazy. I don't think they licensed your image. I'm pretty sure you taught me how to steam milk. Did you not?
Oh my god.
Dude, I know you're making a joke, but please, for the love of God, tell me that like some of the Starbucks like trading videos are people in just fucking
Cups.
No,
cups.
they were all.
That would be so-
fucking terrible.
Dude,
Because-
McDonald's
they were all bad.
videos had people in fry costumes.
Really?
No,
Did I already
they
talk
didn't do
about the
that.
one?
I'm sorry.
I think I may have talked about this on the show. If you're one of our regular listeners, forgive me, but I think I already talked about this.
The
When I worked
shooting?
at the movies in high school, I worked for Cinemark, and they took security very serious because the Aurora shooting was a Cinemark, and so it was a big deal. And so for training, they would put you in an empty theater just in the middle of the day and play the training videos for just you in like a 300-seat auditorium. It was crazy. But there were so many of them. It went all day, all this security stuff. And then at the end, there was a zombie apocalypse training video that you were required to check off of your watch list that they would play for you. And there was these terrible actors, like terrible prosthetics. It looked like they went to Party City and just bought some makeup, cheap makeup. And it was reenacting how if a zombie apocalypse breaks out, you're supposed to like wedge a broom handle between the doors, throw hot popcorn oil on them, like defend yourself with the metal racks for cups.
I have this
Herschel, what do you
vision
think?
of this great like early Sam Raimi, like grabbing a popcorn scoop and right in the side of a zombie's head, you know, like I think that would be fantastic.
I think that's a movie we can make right now.
It was among the worst zombie flicks I've seen. And it was all it was a 15-minute training video about what to do. But they kind of mixed it in there. Like there was
you're
all
not
these
ready
very
for it?
serious
You're
videos.
just sitting there like what to do in an active shooter, what to do in a bomb threat, what to do in a Walking Dead situation.
Absolutely.
I've watched
100%.
active shooter training videos a lot.
Yeah,
There's
and that's
no
just
joke
in your
there.
free time, which
Yeah.
is strange.
Yeah.
Sexual harassment. I've had to watch those training
Very
videos
weird.
extra times. What?
Nice.
That was legal. That's different.
No. Anyway, back to our back to Herschel, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
A man of many coats.
That's what I do.
Axl
I
Rose.
love doing impressions and stuff like that. I don't do them on stage. I have an Alex Jones that I've tried to work into sets forever, but I haven't yet.
Do your Alex Jones voice.
I can do this, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, it doesn't always fly. Speaking of fly, if you do see the black helicopters coming by, just go on over to our website, and we do sell a small hat you can buy that will keep the brain waves locked inside of your head there.
I'm gonna preface 2536.
It's so
Go ahead and tell us about Sandy Hook, Alex Jones.
No.
That's why every time he gets, that's why I can't work into a joke. He gets just dumb enough to work, and then he goes over the top. And you're like, fuck, I'm not that comic.
No.
Right when you break it out, he's at a Trump rally the next week firing people up, and you're like, damn it, I can't be him.
I want to do I have a puppet version I've done named Alex Foams. That's pretty funny. I've done it for some promos. Yeah, it's perfect. From puppetwars.com. I think if I can work some videos of that in, that could work.
Nathaniel's choking on his coffee right now.
That caught me. I don't know why. I just did not. I never thought I'd hear Alex Foams.
Alex
before.
Foams.
That's amazing.
Could you do us a solid?
Yeah.
We don't sell the coffee cups yet, but could you just give us a promo for whenever we for whatever.
We need Alex Foams in a stage
I would
bit
happy
for
to do
sure.
that. I also
Him on stage would be amazing
because it's a movable puppet. It's a Muppet whatnot, so you can make it. I
Right.
also have foam cold that I do some stuff with as well. Yeah, so
that would be amazing. I would pay a ticket just to see an hour of that.
Man,
Just
I think like I don't typically like ventriloquists or like whatever, but like I think I do like them. We've established Jeff Dunham is
I don't.
big part of my childhood.
As a big puppet fan, I hate ventriloquists. It's
But-
the mime of puppetry. Yeah, it's the mime.
I'm
of
not a
puppetry.
big fan of it either, but I think the impression angle
But
is
I think
interesting.
I think if I like saw a clip of like a dude just doing all these people, Alex Foams. What'd you call Stone Cold?
Foam cold.
Foam Cold.
You know? Foam Cold actually has his own Facebook profile. I actually made a whole page. I haven't done anything with it, but I made a page for it.
Everybody, please go follow.
Foam Cold. Yeah, there is a page for Foam Cold.
I would pay a
amazing.
ticket. Like I would.
That's great.
I would.
Yeah, this has been, I don't know, maybe 9-10 years ago. I hadn't been doing long, but a bunch of the comics just started for some reason shooting promo videos in Knoxville just for each other. And I was at work all day. And I was like, fuck, I want to get in on this. And so by the time I got home, I'd had plenty of time to think about it. And I was like, the puppet.
Oh yeah.
And so my wife is there with a boombox playing it, and here he comes, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. And I've got the little belt pinned to his shoulder. I've pinned his little finger up, so I've got pinned like so he's flipping the bird all the time.
That's awesome.
I'll have to find you the video somewhere.
Please.
It's at some point sent it to you.
Well, here's what's great. So, I mean, from the impressions, the roast, and then obviously we mentioned for a second your stand-up is phenomenal. I feel like you do so much, and some of our guests on this show are very niche in that they do one thing and they do it amazing. But I feel like you do so much. So prior to you starting stand-up, like growing up, what are some of the influences? Because it feels like it has to be a mixed bag, right? To lead you to this path.
So for me, I stand-up was something I always wanted to do. I grew up in the 80s where stand-up was everywhere.
Booming.
Right? It started with, at the time, we didn't have YouTube. It's just different. Stand-up was everywhere to watch. It wasn't everywhere to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's a big distinction. But it was on HBO. It was on Showtime. It was on every channel had at least 30 minutes to an hour where there was a brick wall, a stool, and somebody telling jokes. Yeah. The MTV half-hour comedy hour, all this stuff, and it just came out. And to give you an idea, as a kid, I was Bobby Hill. That's me as a kid, right? Just straight up. My dad is Hank Hill, no question. My mom is Peggy Hill. Like, my mom was a substitute teacher who thought everything I ever did was strictly a reflection on her. Like, that's my dad was like, boy, ain't right. That's my dad, right? Right.
Another spot-on impression.
Yeah.
All right, tell the story. Tell the story like Hank Hill. Let's go.
Hank Foam Hill.
Hank Foam.
I love how you're like dance monkey dance.
No, your impressions are just killing me.
This is the first
dude.
impressionist guest we've had.
Yeah. And I don't even think you rode up here in an hour. It took you an hour to get here. You probably didn't think about it.
No, not one bit. Not one bit. I was
and that's why we love the show.
I had Skinner cranked and a blunt fired. That was good to go.
What a morning.
But
Happy Pride Month again.
So that was me as a kid. I was Bobby Hill. I was just a weird kid. Like, I loved the absurd. Like, I got into like weird B movies as a kid, like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and stuff like that. So I was a schlock kid.
I love it.
Yeah. When I was a kid, and they had a show on USA called USA Up All Night. And it was literally, at first it was Gilbert Godfrey hosting, and it was just weird B movies. So I got turned on to Killer Clowns from Outer Space, The Stuff, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, all these weird oddball movies, and I love that stuff. And then, like, after that, Glow would come on, The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, like the real show that you've seen in the Netflix. And so that was just me as a kid. I was like, fuck yeah, Friday and Saturday, it's fucking splatcore and titties, I'm in. Yeah. And so I just was a weird kid who loved stand-up and loved the absurd and got into, like, weird stuff like that. And so I always wanted to do it. It was just a big desire of mine, but I never thought about it because there's not, like, here's the path. And that's what's missing. And people don't know, you just show up, sign your name, and go up? Yeah, it's that easy. But you don't know that.
No.
And I had never been to live comedy. I had never been to an open mic. Didn't even think about it. Started just being an adult and living life. I was a music guy. I played in a band for a long time. I played bass and sang in a little stoner rock trio. And so I did that for a while. And, again, I always wanted to do it, never thought about it. And my wife and I were separated for about a year. And so she had kicked me out, had a restraining order against me, like I was homeless. You know, my parents took her side, so I couldn't even like live with my folks. Like, so I literally was living in my car, couldn't see my kids. My wife was, you know, like I said, against me in all degrees. And I was at rock bottom. I mean, fucking rock bottom.
Yeah.
And Jeff Blank and I, like I said, we both worked for the same retail company in Knoxville, and the home office was in Nashville. We had to ride together to go do like corporate meetings and district meetings, and all the other managers from like Sevierville and Johnson City in our district were like, hey, nobody wants to ride with either of you. You both talk too fucking much. You guys ride together. And
I can relate.
Yeah, exactly. And we were like, yeah, okay, great.
I've been told that, yeah.
And so we
ride separate to shows.
Yeah.
He did stand-up comedy at the time locally, so he did know all this, and he was doing it. And I would just, like the song Brandy, You're a Fine Girl, I would just sit there with stars in my eyes, listen to his sailor stories, and just like, oh. And then, you know, at that time, I mean, I'd done that off and on for a while, but at that time when we were doing it, I had nothing. Like I said, I lived in my car. I really was just like, how soon will this end? Like, at what point will I just die and this be over?
Yeah.
And he was like, I was like, man, I've always wanted to do it. He was like, you should try it. He was like, I don't tell people that. He was like, because, you know, everybody was like, I mean, I want to do stand-up.
Yeah.
They say I'm funny. All right, well, you should try it.
My friends tell me I'm funny. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody should try it.
Yeah.
Not everybody should continue to do it. But if you even remotely
Agreed.
think you want to do it, go do it. Well, Jeff was like, you should do it. I don't tell people this, but you would be good at it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, or maybe. And I was just at work, you know, stocking shoes in the back of the shoe store, and I was thinking about it, and I called him, and I was like, man, I want to do this. I want to try one of these open mics. And he was like, great, tomorrow night at 8. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh,
damn.
It's not like 3 month sign up. He was like, nah, man, be here this time tomorrow, 8 o'clock. I'll see you there. Oh, shit. I've got 24 fucking hours to write 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm doing. I've never even been to an open mic. I've never even set foot. I don't know how these go.
That's so scary.
And so I'm literally in the back stocking shoes, like, what do you get when you cross? Like, trying to, right? And,
What's the deal with shoes?
Yeah.
You're just like,
and oddly enough, there are some variations of that first night that I still do. Some of those jokes still.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah. And I have it recorded somewhere. Matt Ward, who was the high lord of Knox comedy at that time, he recorded it. Was just recording that night. I got lucky.
Yeah.
And I honestly have to say, I show up terrified. I walk in, and there's a local legend at the time, a Pillbilly Deluxe. He was a joke. Everybody hated him. He'd been banned from every open mic in town. And he was up there with one of those cow print college composition books, just reading from it going, what do you get when you cross a lesbian with a zombie? A zombie that eats pussy. Like, he was right. I think that's maybe an actual quote, but it's pretty close.
I like this guy.
So
I'll say that now.
joke. Listen, it needs to be punched up a little bit, but the premise is
There's something
solid.
there.
So
There's something
that was the first thing I saw, and I went,
oh, it's so bad.
well, if he can do this, I can do this, right? It really built my confidence.
Yeah.
I suggest everybody go and watch somebody terrible.
Absolutely.
I swear to God, because that really did give me the ability to.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have done it. If I'd have walked up there and like Dave Chappelle was up there
Yeah,
killing,
murder
I'd have been like,
him.
all right, Jeff, man, good to see you. Think I'm going to go home now. But I walked up, watched this asshole. One, I didn't know you could take notes, right? I had never been to an open mic, right? I didn't know. I literally memorized my entire set within 24 hours.
A lot of people don't know
I
that.
did not know this. And I'm glad I didn't, because I still hate it. If I see somebody with a phone out, I just want to run up and smack it. I hate it. I fucking hate it. If you bring a notebook, it better be part of your shtick, and you better draw attention to it like Dion Cole or something like that, right? You better
work it in.
That joke don't work. All right, you better work. I hate it. Fucking hate it.
Yeah.
And to this day, I don't. If I'm doing 30 minutes or more, I'll take a set list, but that's it. But I walk in, I see him. He's got a notebook. He's doing, what do you get when you cross a jokes? And I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I go up, I do it. I rush a little bit, but not bad. I would say C+.
Yeah.
I mean, for your first time.
Oh my God!
First time, that's great.
Are you kidding me? I have nothing.
Because it goes so bad.
Right.
sometimes.
So I give myself a C+, maybe even a B-. It went well. I was like 5 minutes and 59 seconds, so I did my. I was in my time.
Perfect.
Yeah, which is a big one.
A+ for
Yes,
that.
And
exactly.
for a 24-hour window, that's not bad.
Yeah, and like I said, the jokes were well thought out. They weren't perfect, but I tried, and I instantly had the bug. I was like, okay. So I kept doing it a little bit, going to open mics. And I have to say, because of that, I started getting a little mental healthier. I started doing the right thing. I started going to therapy. I didn't use stand-up as therapy. Stand-up led me to therapy. My wife saw me changing. She saw me becoming a better person. She saw me fulfilling dreams. And because of that, we began to kind of talk a little bit. I invited her to a comedy show. I wasn't even on it. Just, hey, here's a show. Yeah. We used to do shows on the riverboat in Knoxville. And I was like, would you like to come with me? And because of stand-up comedy, I lay in the bed with my wife now. I laid just down this tall from my kids because of my attempt at stand-up comedy. My wife saw me doing something and gave me another shot, and stand-up comedy put my life back together. I wouldn't be here without it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's an amazing story, and I'm sure that there are many people that share that same moment where maybe stand-up isn't the catalyst or the spark, but it certainly pushes you in that direction. You know? But the interesting part, I think, is that comedians are so, from the outside perspective especially, but even as a comedian, they're inherently fucked up. All of us have something. But that is so interesting that can take a person who, you mentioned you're at rock bottom, you don't know what to do, everything's going wrong, and then you find this thing, and just the simple act of like just having the passion for this thing, this commonality with all these other assholes who are all crazy and all have, who knows what's going on that with their wives and kids, you know, and then you just have this passion, and seeing that in you really, I think, speaks to your wife also, that it's like, oh, he has this now, and that's so special. That's a great story.
He's trying to achieve something, and that's great.
Yeah, I think from the outside perspective too, people think comedy's just so wild, it's so chaotic, everybody's so fucked, and that's all true.
It's true, yeah.
But there is that devotion to it.
You have to be a broken individual to desire the time on stage for people to clap like a dancing monkey. You have to be broken to be like, I crave validation so bad. I'm going to go beg strangers for it.
Yeah, because my dad just wouldn't give it to me.
That's what we're doing. Is we're literally begging. It's true. We are begging strangers for validation. That's what we do, right? Please love me, clap for me, tell me I'm pretty.
Absolutely,
that's what we are doing. You have to be broken a little bit for it,
or at the least listen to what I have to say. Like somebody listen to me.
I had a very similar story. First time I did an open mic, I went. So I did the class, like Blue Ridge does the class. We talked about that before, and I sat the open mics after it, and I sat through it. And I went like 12th, I think. And I, in my head, was freaking out because the first couple people did like really good.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who it was. I don't think I've ever seen them again. They went up there and just
bombed.
Ate shit.
Yeah.
I mean, embarrassing. They did this whole bit, and I don't care. It was some college kid who's just checking something off his list. He did this whole bit about how he was like, I'm not gay, but like I'll do anything for $100, blah blah blah. And then he like calls out to his like buddy in the audience, was like, hey, you got $100? And then like that was like the whole joke.
That was the joke. Yeah.
It was very dumb. Nobody laughed. Nobody thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And then it's new.
Never heard it before. Yeah.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
So he does this, eat shit for like, I think he ran the light and everything. And I'm like,
nice.
Oh yeah,
that's a cool touch too.
I'm like,
not only am I bombing, I'm bombing for too long.
I'm like, cool. I can do this, and I would say I probably got like
that moment
a C
too
plus
of like,
also.
if he can do it, I can.
It really does help.
Yeah,
it does. That same guy I saw later. We used to have a club in Knoxville, Side Splitters, and I never performed there, but I was familiar with it. But I went to go see Josh Blue there, just as bought a ticket and went. Yeah. And they had an open mic before. And that same guy that I told you about, the Pillbilly Deluxe.
That's my favorite description of a person ever, just so you know.
He was very accurate. He would nod off at the mic, has been known to do that, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he was up at the open mic. I'm standing in the back watching next to Josh Blue. Right? Who I love. Josh Blue's amazing. So I get to watch this happen with Josh Blue. He is, again, doing his, what do you get when you, and his ladies give me a chance. I'm a nice fucking guy. That was his big punchline. I'm a nice fucking guy. Spoiler alert, he was not.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Could punch it up a little bit, you know? Solid premise.
So he was doing that. He went so long, they lit him. They flashed the house lights at him.
Yeah.
They cut the mic off. He keeps going. They turn the stage lights off. He keeps going. They start the music and finally had to physically remove him. I got to watch Josh Blue like, is this an act? And I was like, no.
This is just
and I get it. You think he's some Larry the Cable Guy meets Andy Kaufman, but it's not. Right. This is just really him. Yeah.
This is Xanax is what this is.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I did an open mic one time where this is very funny. I've seen him before, but I've never seen somebody run the light this hard. So Blue Ridge at 4 minutes.
Yep.
They flash
for the open mic. I've never got a chance to go to the open mic.
Yeah,
but
so they flash you at 4.
At Blue, you get 5 minutes. At 4, they just flash a red light. At 5, it just turns red, so you're done.
Yep.
At 6, it cuts the mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did 8 minutes sitting down.
Yeah.
And I mean,
No mic.
2 of it was without a mic.
Yeah.
And I went up after that, and it was.
And we should say,
dude,
for anybody who doesn't know,
rough.
if the mic gets cut off for you at 6 minutes, it's not because you're doing so good
Oh,
that they need you to stop.
yeah.
Like,
No.
At no point would they cut that. If you're destroying, Sean's just gonna let you keep destroying.
Hunter Roberts mentioned it on the show, like, because Hunter Roberts has like longer bits. You know, his bits are like.
Yeah.
5 short.
5 to 8. Yeah.
8 is typical, right? And Hunter Roberts, I mean, he's crushing, and they'll let him give 8, and then he knows to just.
Yeah, but if they cut the mic off, that's a sign.
Yeah,
like,
100%. Nobody's like, oh, I don't want you to outshine.
I don't want to
hear
here. Nobody's like, this punchline will be better in silence.
Yeah.
And that is something else that people don't know who have never done it. What people do in front of you impacts you, right? An opening band can suck, and the headliner come out and crush.
Absolutely.
And or if you have a showcase, one band can tank, the next band can recover in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
it doesn't work that way with comedy.
No, it's a show.
And the other thing is, like, you would struggle to believe the audacity of some of these assholes.
Absolutely.
If you hadn't been there.
Yeah.
I was doing a show at a bar one time, and restaurant. It was an open mic. It was a new open mic, and this was when I was, doing everything I could to go. And when I needed open mics. Now I'm at the point where I can workshop, in a headlining set without thinking about it. And I don't write anything down, so like I know when something's right or it's not at this point. But anyway, back then I was doing an open mic. I went, and this guy in front of me. And I think he was like right in front of me. He might have actually done somebody else between us, which makes it even worse. They call him out. He's nowhere to be found. They call him out a second time, and finally he's like limping over. So he had hurt himself, and he made a whole big deal about it all night. So he's limping over slowly, and it's like, anytime, Dick, let's go, man.
Yeah.
So
get closer to the stage. Like, you're coming up.
Right. He finally comes up and does nothing. He bombs. He just walks around pissing and moaning about his leg, and one of those where it's just like trying to be funny with something, and it's like, you know what I mean? No, dude, I don't, because I actually brought material.
You know the best punchline in the world? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's a little like box bench behind the set, if that makes sense. It's like wooden, but it makes like a little bench, but it's like boxes. I don't know where you would see that, but anyway. And so he gets done and sets on the box bench. All right, time for your next comic. Still sitting on the box behind.
Doesn't leave the stage?
No, he just sat down.
Oh, fuck this guy.
And stayed behind. It stayed there for the comic. Maybe I think I was next, and then he stayed for somebody else or something. But he was there for like 2 comic sets, and I was like, what the fuck? Oh, I was so mad.
I would have had to just turn around with the stand and be like, what's your fucking problem? Like, into the microphone. Like, please.
Oh, so furious.
That's
so
true, too. The audacity is like, even at an open mic, I mean, we've talked about it on the show before, the location of Blue Ridge, we're downtown between a couple bars, right next to a restaurant. Pretty much on the regular, especially in the old days when there was just a ton of people flooding in and it was new and everybody, there's a comedy club. You'd stumble in from the bar at 6:20. I've always wanted to try comedy. You have no idea what you're going to say, and you go up there, and all I'd be thinking is, I could have been home 5 minutes ago if you would have just not shown up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you come back for 10 weeks and never write a joke and do the same shit, and it is a lot. But you touched on that 24-hour window there that you had. Do you think? I want to say this. So my buddy Caden, shout out to my boy Caden, I made him try stand-up one time because when I started it, he was like, I'm thinking about trying it.
That was a very funny 45 seconds.
Cut to a year and a half later. He had never, and he kept saying, I'm thinking about it. So I'd had enough of it. So one night I'm like, just come to the open mic, just watch. You don't have to go up. So then I think we're on comic number 7. And I said, hey, you're up next. And he was like, what? And I was like, you're up next. And he was like, I don't have, and I was like, you've been talking shit for a year and a half. You're going up.
Something.
You're going up. And so he goes up. He did about 45 seconds. Yeah. Crushed. Actually did great.
For like a 45,
did great.
He would have got through one round of comedy knockout.
Here's the thing. If you put your feet on that stage you got further than most ever
Yep.
will.
Absolutely.
Pat yourself on the back.
Yes.
If you walk to the microphone, look at the audience, and just go, no, and walk away, you still made it further
Yeah.
than most ever
Yeah.
will. You deserve at least a bit of a pat on the back.
Were you there? That it was a couple months ago now. There was this guy at Blue Ridge's open mic who has done it before.
Oh yeah, I was there.
He has done it before. Gets on the stage, says like 2 words, and was like, I'm never mind. I can't do this.
I think he
and then
said,
just
"Fuck
left.
this shit." To
And
be
then
exact.
just
and then he
fucking
put the mic up.
And wasn't
left.
his first time?
It was
No,
not
no.
his first time.
Just the pressure of the night, I think, because
And
there was
like-
more people there than maybe the first time or whatever.
and
yeah,
I don't think I've ever
it's
seen
a lot of pressure.
I don't think I've ever seen him
Well,
again.
do you remember? I was sitting next to you when that happened, and I leaned over and I just said, "I get it."
I do get it.
I
like
I get
froze one time.
I get it.
I did freeze one time. I've bombed before, but I kept going.
that's our next question.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
I've bombed before, but I have kept going, right?
Yeah.
It's just you keep struggling through the bomb or you make it worse. But I only froze up one time, and I was in an open mic in Knoxville, and I walked up, and I'd been doing it for years. So this was far past any time I should have done this. But I had that moment where, like in a TV and a movie, where somebody walks up to a graduation mic, and the light with the light flare comes down on them,
Yeah.
and the mic just squeals, and it's extra silent, and you can hear like lips smacking. I had that moment for a minute
Yeah.
where it
Yeah.
was just like, and I don't know what happened, and I was there maybe a minute, and I was silent and just stunned, and was like, okay, here's just something, and I pulled just an old joke out of my subconscious and just started going,
Yeah.
and I got through it, and I finished and walked away, and was like, what the fuck just happened?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever froze like that.
I don't think I've ever. I will say I'm gonna knock on some wood.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever actually froze.
more terrifying than bombing by a long shot.
But I have.
Yeah,
I
I
have
think so.
eaten some shit on stage.
Yeah.
So
really,
what
for
were-
like
Yeah.
the last 3 months, I think.
Oh,
Okay, listen. Everyone ate shit on Wednesday. Okay.
No.
Every single person ate shit.
Okay, hold on.
Pruitt went up first and ate shit, and that made me feel okay to
hold
eat
on.
shit that night.
Pause. Just so,
Fuck off, dude.
Hold on. Just so the audience knows, I love Michael. I adore this man. We do this every week. Michael has been going up once a month. He's committed to his family. He's a good dad.
Yeah.
He's making the right decisions as far as his life.
I've
goes.
had some stuff.
He's
I'm getting back
prioritizing,
into it.
but no.
Yeah.
You're you're prioritizing your family. But because of that, because you're going up once a month, every time you go up, you come up to me and you're like, "That was bad." That's because it's been a month. Like that just happened. So that's why I take shots at him, not because he's a bad comic, but because
Wednesday
he has-
was rough. My opener that I have a very consistent opener, and I did try
I
it.
did until I shaved it.
Yeah. My listen,
true, too.
I am
Yeah,
one
that's-
haircut
yeah.
away from my opener not working.
That's also true.
Yeah, but I have a very
Same with my
consistent
beard.
opener, and I opened with it, and I didn't cricket. I just crickets,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, this doesn't matter.
It's gonna be bad. Yeah,
This
that's
doesn't
when you go.
matter
It's
anymore.
wild how that works. People again that don't do comedy don't understand, and they're like, you can take the same joke and you can do it and be like, nah, I didn't hit the punchline. It wasn't on it. You can
Yeah.
be honest, but there are times you can go and you be like, I nailed it. And still got nothing.
Absolutely.
The exact night before, or sometimes even that night, if you're doing two
Two
I do them
shows.
the exact
Yeah.
way. You can be honest and introspective, and you go, I did them the exact same, but
Yeah.
one killed and one didn't.
Yep.
That happened to me on the comedy festival
She's a
last year.
cruel mistress.
I did
Tom.
the day I was on the comedy. I didn't get moved on, but I had
didn't
a really good set. I felt like.
Yeah.
But before the set at the festival, we did a show at some
Axonale.
Axonale. Thank
Okay,
you.
we did one that's another brewery the night
Yeah.
day before. But
Yeah.
cool.
So
I bombed that time too,
dude, yeah, like
sucked.
6:30.
Bomb.
I go to Axonale. I fucking eat it. I do my the exact set I'm gonna do at the comedy festival. Just one more
Yeah.
rep of it. Not a laugh. Like, dude, barely chuckles throughout. I get to the fucking festival and I opened the show, which sucked, but
Sucked.
I did do well. Like, I didn't finish on the top 3, but I don't think I finished in last.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, also you know your typical reactions, and so
Yeah.
you know what's a bomb for you and what's a crush for
Exactly.
you. And that
Exactly.
metric is different for every person. But
100%.
you can walk away and go, "Oh, I didn't eat shit on that one."
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is
It
the
happens.
actually I want to go back for a second. There's a comic that I feel like you may like a lot or you may hate this comic, but just based off of like some of the roast and stuff. Randy Feltface. Have you
I
ever
love Randy Feltface.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I was trying to actually take my son because my son loves him.
I
It just didn't work out with the time. But I love Randy Feltface. He tickles the absolute fucking shit.
God, do you know
out of
who
me.
Randy Feltface is?
I don't, but kudos to you for sniping that one. You
Bro.
fucking
Yeah.
nailed that. That's-
Randy
yeah.
Feltface is
Yeah.
it's It's not. It's a puppet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I was hoping
And
so.
in Australia,
Just by the name.
He's
An
Australian.
Australian puppet.
I thought either a puppet or a serial killer.
Yeah.
One of the, I wasn't
both.
sure.
And so he does this thing where he's doing the whole puppet. He's like right in your face, and it's hilarious.
It's the fun.
He is so funny.
He has this joke about buying something on Australian Facebook Marketplace. I don't know what he calls it. Have you seen that joke?
I don't know if I've seen that specific one. If I can't recall,
he's buying like a bookshelf or something.
The puppet thing is interesting.
It's the funniest.
Yeah, there's another comic who
His
does
crowd
it.
work is the best. That's why he's so funny.
Right.
It's not even his bits.
The
It's his
puppet.
crowd
It's
work.
brilliant.
Yeah.
There's another comic who's doing it with like a bird, which I don't.
I've not seen.
I don't even know their name.
Yeah.
Not as again, it's subjective. No, I'm
Yeah.
not saying there's
Yeah.
wrong with it, but I think Randy Feltface is funnier. I think the accent makes half
Yeah.
of it.
Oh yeah, dude.
Because he does have this very a lot
The
like
most
Riz,
Australian
Yeah,
accent.
he has that kind of Riz Darby, if you know who Riz Darby
Oh,
is.
sure, yeah,
from
yeah,
Flight
yeah.
of the
Yeah.
Conchords. Yeah, he has that kind of voice, so
Right.
it's got a sing-songiness to it that is just
Sounds
so
like
perfect.
it sounds like he literally brought his own kangaroo backstage and fought it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
got on
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
And like that's
Yeah.
what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
But the puppet's like in a suit and it's
Yeah.
all dressed
The
up.
puppet thing, I can't remember the guest a while back. We
I'm
had
I'm
someone
pulling him
on
up
who
just so you
brought
can
up
see him.
the idea of puppetry and comedy, and I think it's something you used to see all the time and don't see. Obviously, everybody knows Jeff
Right.
Dunham is a huge name, but there's also Duncan Trussell. Maybe I have seen this kid before. Or this
kid.
Very
Yeah,
funny.
this
This
puppet.
kid.
Randy Feltman, this guy.
Looking at a purple puppet and called it a
so
kid.
Duncan
anyway.
Trussell has been doing an act apparently in Austin where he'll come out with this puppet that he had years ago, and his name's Little Hobo. And I've heard that act is
Didn't it get
phenomenal.
stolen? There was a whole thing
Yes.
about it getting stolen?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Somebody
I heard
Little
stole
that.
unhoused
Little
person,
Hobo.
do you mean? Or
All right.
Okay,
Little Unhomed.
Didn't
Yeah.
Bridges come out with a puppet once? Didn't Bridges use a puppet? Like a Hitler puppet or some
it
shit?
would not surprise
this
me.
is
in the
coming out
slightest.
after the open mic, but I did see him yesterday, and he said, "I'm pretty sure."
I feel
he said he was coming
Bridges
out with
has
a puppet.
told me
Oh,
he
okay.
came out with a Hitler puppet, maybe.
I could
I
absolutely see
feel
it.
like that is correct.
He's also come
He's
on
the only
stage
one who
with the
can do
ashes
that.
of his dead grandfather. So there's nothing you can
yeah,
say.
so
that would
I guess so.
He was in our audience for the fucking live taping with the ashes
with
of
his
his
grandpa.
grandfather.
nice.
Yeah.
Gosh.
No, so the
Got a
puppet
little
thing,
Undertaker
though,
thing going on, brings his
Yeah.
own urn to the
yeah, he
I like
does.
it.
The puppet thing, I think it's something that you used to see much more in comedy and not anymore. But like I remember my grandfather was a huge classic comedy person and sitcoms and the puppet thing you saw all the time. But I remember the on the Bob Newhart show. It was back like late 70s. He's a therapist in this show, right? And there's an episode where this client comes in with a puppet and they sit down and he's like, "What seems to be the problem?" And he's like, "Well, I think George was the puppet." And he's like, "George here is thinking about stepping out on his own." And like literally the whole thing is this conflict between him and the puppet. And at one point he starts arguing back and forth with his own puppet, and they ask Bob Newhart, the doctor, they're like, "Can you step outside for a moment?" And he's like, "Sure." And like just his facial expression is amazing. So he steps out in the hall, and then the man comes out without the puppet, and he's like, "George wants to speak to you alone." And they cut to Bob Newhart's face, and he just delivers this crazy look. Like that
Bob
was
Newhart's a genius.
that was prime time
Fucking genius.
television. The puppetry. So I don't know why that just disappeared. I think maybe it's antiquated
think-
now or something.
I just love puppetry. I always
I do
have.
too.
I was a huge Muppet fan as a kid. Still am. Like I love Jim Henson's work. I'm a huge Muppet fan. Like
Yeah.
even the new shows like the Muppet Mayhem and like the Muppets. It was like The Office. I fucking
Right.
worship. I'm waiting for the new episode to drop at
Wait.
night. Like
Did you say the Muppets that are like The Office?
yeah, ABC did it 2017, I think. It's called The Muppets, but it's basically like an office type mockumentary. Piggy has a late night talk show, and it's all them behind the scenes, and like
that's
they've since
cool.
broke up, so it's about their will they won't. It great. I fucking
pretty
love
cool,
it.
actually,
It has
yeah.
one of the best jokes ever. I actually have a clip of it on my phone just because I keep it in case I ever need
Yeah.
it. Fozzie's driving along because it's all like the still camera like confessionals like The Office.
Yeah.
Fozzie's driving along because he's going on a date, and he was like, it's hard dating in this world. He was like, you put out an ad that says "bear looking for love," you get a lot of wrong answers. Well, not wrong, just wrong for me. Holy
so
shit!
funny.
Oh my
Man,
god,
they're
it's
swinging
so
for
good.
it with the Muppets
Yeah.
these days.
Oh, no, no,
Didn't they
no.
make a movie that was like not for kids recently?
Brian Henson did the Happy Land or Happy Time Murders. Brian, it's Brian. It's not a Muppet thing, but it was Brian Henson who did it.
Yeah.
And it's obviously puppets, but
Is it like a fan fiction type?
no.
spin-off
It's like a cop serial killer noir with Melissa McCarthy. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
R-rated or something,
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
Now again, it's not quite. Does the word "Meet the Feebles" mean anything to either of you? No, that's a shame.
Nope, missed that one.
Meet the Feebles is early Peter Jackson before Lord of the Rings. It's when he was doing B movies, and it is like the adult Muppet Show. Like it has puppet titties and like a puppet overdose and like it's fucking wild.
And is it available on streaming? Can I find it today?
Meet the Feebles is great.
Well, that's what I'll be watching today, folks.
It's hilarious. And what's funny is
Alone in your room.
in the new Muppets Mayhem show, where it's just about the band, they have a ton of cameos like the Muppets are famous for, dating all the way back. Peter Jackson comes in and the band's there. It's like, hey, Peter, we ain't seen you since we met the Feebles. That was a rough night. And I was like, oh my God, because I got the joke, and it's a very adult joke. Yeah. Because I mean, this really does have like puppet titties and a puppet heroin overdose, and it's like super B movie.
Yeah.
But it's
the best.
But it's Peter Jackson.
I love B movies, by the way. Also,
me too. So you will love.
I love the B movie,
and it's great. It also was fantastic.
Solid movie.
It was also great.
Yeah.
But
jazz.
So again, I love the puppet stuff, and so when I bought the puppet was for a roast. Actually, we did the roast of Ebenezer Scrooge, and I went as Jim Henson because I was like, that's the best version of A Christmas Carol out there.
Yeah.
Just for anybody who wants to know, it's the closest, most accurate film adaptation to the book.
Oh,
that's true.
Good
That's actually
to know.
true. Yeah,
There's so many versions.
Yeah, there is. But again, the Muppets version is the most accurate page to screen version of Charles Dickens' novel, which
I think the
love.
Jim Carrey one's terrible.
I loathe Jim Carrey, so that's not hard for me to do. I loathe him.
Now there's a stance.
Hate him.
Now
that's
there's a stance.
I think we just heard the most unpopular opinion on the Talkin' Bits podcast. What's wrong with Jim Carrey?
Wait. What if he changes my mind? Don't ask him. I don't want to know.
Now, the caveat.
Truman Show?
That's the caveat.
Okay.
I like when Jim Carrey's not being Jim Carrey. The Truman Show,
the
even
serious
Liar,
Jim Carrey,
Liar. I love Man on the Moon.
The number 23, or
it's not bad. Man on the Moon's my favorite, just because I'm a huge Andy Kaufman fan.
Yeah, it's great.
And so I like those moments. But my first introduction to Jim Carrey, realistically, was not Mad TV, In Living
Color. Yeah.
And I fucking hate Fire Marshal Bill.
It is
That
annoying.
is the dumbest. And so, hey,
I've never seen that Jim Carrey.
Hey, come here, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
It is
Sounds about
awful.
right.
It's obnoxious. And then every movie for the first half of his career is Fire Marshal Bill. Ace Ventura is Fire Marshal Bill in a Hawaiian print shirt. The Mask is Fire Marshal Bill with superpowers.
I like The Mask.
And it goes on and on. And I fucking hate him.
I
fucking hate him.
I do have a small unpopular Jim Carrey opinion. Not as unpopular as his, but I don't really like Dumb and Dumber.
It's okay because that's what he's supposed to do. It's when I went back years later, and then the crushing blow for me is the Riddler is my all-time favorite villain. Not my all-time favorite Batman villain. My all-time favorite villain.
Riddler's a good one.
Holy shit!
The ball.
We don't talk about it in my house.
Rough.
It's
rough.
just we don't.
Have you seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
It's good.
With him?
It's
That's
good.
good. That's another. It's kind of Truman Show-esque. Like it's kind of spacey, but it's serious.
I love the Truman
Is that
Show.
Charlie Kaufman? Is that I think that's one of Charlie Kaufman's
Yes,
movies.
I believe so.
Because Kaufman's great. Kaufman did Being John Malkovich and Adaptation, and it does all this
super
weird surreal stuff.
Real quick, for
super surreal,
for long-time listeners of the Talkin' Bits podcast, there was a time on this show that I talked about never seeing The Truman Show, and I've now seen that movie like 4 times.
It's
It's
great.
great. Yeah.
So when Jim Carrey's not being Jim Carrey, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah.
He's him and Adam Sandler both, like when they're in serious
Punch
roles.
Drunk Love is amazing.
Yep.
Dude,
Uncut Gems, phenomenal.
Uncut
I
Gems
haven't
is
seen that one
10
yet.
Phenomenal.
out
It's
of
on my
10.
list. But I haven't seen
I'll take this stance on that one though. I think it's phenomenal, but I think everybody talked about his performance, and I think
the movie was just good.
I think you're just giving him a little too much credit. He's amazing in it, but the tension that movie created, like the gripping, is crazy. Like
And
it's
over
the
something
movie as a
so
whole.
honestly irrelevant.
The betting and the money laundering.
Yeah.
See,
It was
my hatred with Jim Carrey and those kind of guys, a lot of it's the one-trick pony. If
Yeah.
you get outside of that, I have the same problem with Jack Black. I love Jack Black, but the fucking baby talk. I just want to point.
I thought you were about to take a stance against Jack Black, and I was about to just.
But when he's
end
doing
the
like
show.
the boop boop boop, he did boop boop boop. I fucking hate it.
Well,
I
here's
hate
what's
it so
interesting.
bad.
Coming from a person who is so all over the map, as we've said, with all your impressions, you think that makes sense to me. That you would go, that's a one-trick pony. He's
fucking
not
hate it.
diverse.
Yeah.
That's we mentioned on the show. There's these connections, like with Joe Bridges. One time we talked about how he's articulate and very specific about the ingredients of his joke, and he's a baker professionally. That's
Right.
what he tweaks recipes,
Yeah.
and that makes sense. So that makes perfect sense to me. That from your sensibility and from where you are as far as performing, that you would go, he's just a one-trick pony.
Yeah,
Like
drives
he's
me
not
nuts.
diverse enough. That makes total sense
Yeah.
to me.
And
Yeah.
comics the same way. That's why I don't like political comedy as a whole, because it's always like, my guy's smart, your guy's dumb. My guy's smart,
Sure.
your guy's dumb.
Yeah,
My
it's
guy's
all
smart.
one lane.
Oh,
I do
shit.
like.
Yeah.
I like for political comedy. I like political comedy that like makes fun of both sides. But if it's one sided, even if it's my side, I'm like, yeah, I could do that.
If it's a good joke, it's a good joke. But typically, political comics like Ricky Gervais, Bill Maher, it's like I get so sick in it. It's like, is there a single other subject you can talk about? Anything?
I don't think Ricky Gervais is as funny as he used to be. I'll die on that.
You know,
hill.
like I think I think he's funny. His delivery, his style, his punchline, it's great. But it's again, and it doesn't matter whether I'm on your side or not. I get tired of that same shtick. If you come out, you see a lot of this in any minority comics of any kind. Gay comic will come out and it'll be just I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay.
Sure.
And you're like, dude, anything.
Yeah, one subject.
You know, yeah. And
I don't know if did we talk about it on the show, or we may have been talking on this show, or we may have been talking like on the way to the show about Ellen DeGeneres' that one special she had where like
we talked about it on here. Relatable.
The whole thing was it just
the whole thing was I'm rich but like me. Yeah,
and it just kind of like
I would hate that.
Got so old so quick. We are about to have to wrap up, but we have two questions that we're gonna ask you. Worst bomb you've ever had?
Worst bomb I ever had.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. This was early on. I took a gig I shouldn't have took. I had been doing.
That's how it starts.
Yep.
That is,
I'd been doing comedy literally a month or two. A friend of mine's band said we want you to come open for us.
Oh, I'm opening for a band soon.
No, don't. It's terrible.
I am already.
I'm getting paid.
I got paid and I hated it. And
it's the worst.
Maybe now, but here's the thing: they're two different energies. And Jeff, again, I guess at the time mentor was like, don't do that gig. And I was like, nah, I got this. And what they wanted, they had like 3 10-minute breaks they wanted me to fill. I had about 6 minutes of material. So the first 10 minutes I went up, it went okay because I did the material. I vamped a little and it did okay. The second time, it was terrible. Before the third one came up, I ran away crying and went home.
Wow.
Yeah, I literally was like.
What'd they do in the third break?
It was just, I tell you what had happened was, the guy had set it up for me. He was like, just tell the bartender you're with us. You're on our tab, whatever. I went up at one point to get a beer, and the bartender went, you're not with the band. That's going to be $3. And there was just something about it. I was like, and I ran home crying.
I don't blame you at all.
And so that would be it.
Especially as a month in, you're already on the way there going, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah,
that's
I'm not, it's not on the books yet, but I did get I'm like low-key booked to host for a band.
Hosting for a band's one thing. Doing a few dick jokes in the middle, whatever. But if you actually have to open for a band, it is very different.
I'm doing
energy.
like I think 2 minutes up top and like maybe 2 minutes in between.
That's different. That's
like
I had apparently 30 minutes to fill that I did not have.
How many people were in the audience for that?
Packed. Fucking packed.
That's even worse.
I will. I'm not gonna jinx it on mic. I'll tell you where this one is after.
A lot of people. You think?
We'll talk. We'll talk about it.
All right.
We'll talk about it.
Well,
it'll make your little don't tell shows not look good. No,
those if you the little adjective pisses me off. Let me say no, not you. You're not the only one. I had a former guest of the show who we like describe it as one of my little don't tell shows a couple weeks ago, and I was like.
No, dude, you're selling out. You're selling out. You're selling out fucking flower shops, dude.
There was 60 people. Forget it. Just fucking.
Dude. I'm sorry. I was just fucking with you.
I've already tried to suck up to you to get on them and submitted to get on them. But here's something that I want to go, and I'm just gonna put that as a PSA for all comics out there who do the don't tell shows. Stop fucking posting about it. You do not understand the point.
Thank you.
My God, if I see one more comic with their upcoming shows, July 13th, don't tell Nashville, don't tell Atlanta. One of us clearly hasn't gotten the grasp of this. Stop fucking posting.
Don't tell. It's
I will say I do prefer that to posting open mics on your tour schedule, which bothers me even more. To be
who the fuck is posting open
that's
mics?
Common. That's common.
I'll tell you after the mic. There's a few that's like
drives me nuts.
Going on tour this month, and 6 of the 8 dates are open mics.
Yeah.
Like,
I actually respect
you can like
that
asterisks
more.
will hit open mic in city while here.
Okay,
like I'm cool with that. Like
put a legend on there.
Stop posting your don't tell shows.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. As a producer, I agree because it's a little disheartening when I'm like, it's tough.
Huh, you're telling.
Anyway, go ahead.
The final question, we always wrap up on this one. So let's say you're at an open mic, you're at a show, whatever, and a brand new comic comes up to you after you get off stage and was like, hey, I'm wanting to get into comedy. I'm wanting to, maybe start trying it. What's some advice you'd give that comic?
Make yourself laugh. If you don't like the joke, why the fuck should I? Tell jokes you think are funny. Write the set you want to hear.
Yeah.
I love that, actually.
That's great.
That's first,
short,
I think.
sweet, and perfect. That's,
I think
that's
the first we've had on the show.
That's a first, yeah.
So 44 some episodes. That's the first time we've got that, and I love it, man.
I mean, because to me, people go, "Oh, you think you're funny?" Yeah. I'm my own biggest fan.
Yeah.
I think I'm fucking hilarious. I write the jokes I want to hear.
Yeah.
I phrase them the way I want them to sound. I think I'm funny.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Find yourself funny. Love your own material.
And
if
it reads.
you don't, why the fuck are you doing it?
Yeah.
The crowd senses that too.
Yeah.
Because there's
For
definitely,
sure.
even I think in my own set, and I don't think there's anything that, obviously I wrote it and I choose to keep doing it. So there's something there for me.
Right.
But there are things that I get maybe tired of that I've been doing for a while. And then I maybe don't deliver it like I love it and it bombs. And then
Yeah.
I go, man, why did that bomb? And then I listen back to the recording. I'm like, oh, because I half-assed it.
Yeah.
And they know
Yeah.
I'm not having a good time with it.
Find yourself funny.
That's why
they smell it.
That's why whenever I change up my jokes, I like because I'm just getting bored of my old jokes, and I'll just
Yeah.
change it up to something else I find funny.
For you?
Because
Yeah. Well, we also, I think, in this local scene, depending on time of year, we do have phases where we're playing to mostly other comics and the
Always.
crowds and
Yep.
stuff. And so for that reason, that's kind of, it makes you keep reinventing those jokes and keep them fun because they're not going to give you anything. If they've heard this for the last 3 weeks, forget it.
Yeah.
They're not going to laugh. So that kind of keeps us, rephrasing things and having fun, like just having fun and enjoying your own stuff. That's important.
Like
Yeah.
I said, if you don't find yourself funny, why the fuck are you out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When people ask who your favorite comic is, you should be in your top 5. If you're not the first name out of your own mouth, you should definitely be out there.
Yeah.
And if you're not, why the fuck are you doing it? If you don't love you, why should I? It's the same reason. That's the reason I don't like the Grateful Dead. You sound bored. So if you're bored of your music, why do I care?
Yeah.
Right. So find yourself funny first.
I think a lot of young comics would appreciate that advice too, because there's so much fear or self-doubt as far as like you're going up for the first time, and you don't even necessarily know what your voice is or what you find funny, and you're just delivering these things thinking, will this get a laugh?
Yeah.
As opposed to, is this funny? I think those are two different questions. Yeah.
The comics will try to be like whoever's. I don't particularly. I think Shane Gillis is funny, but he's not like my.
Right.
He's not for me.
I do think he's hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
But like a lot of new comics might be like me and like not necessarily love Shane Gillis, but Shane Gillis is like the biggest comic in the world right now, and they're like, oh, I got to be like Shane, and like.
Yeah.
Nope.
Then they're not going to have fun doing it.
You gotta
be you.
You can be influenced by your people. Like I have what I call my holy trinity.
Yeah.
Which is like, who's your favorite comic? And I don't work that way. I've got my holy trinity, right? And that's Carlin, Giraldo, and Chad Daniels. Right away. George Carlin, Greg Giraldo, Chad Daniels. Those are the 3 most influential people on. And now again, I don't know if you know those comics and can picture that now hearing my storytelling style, but those are the 3. And so I got to watch myself, or I do end up sounding like Carlin and Giraldo real easy.
Yeah.
Those
Carlin, I can see for sure. And
Who's your Holy Trinity? Now I'm curious, because I've never thought of it that way. Now I'm thinking of my Holy Trinity.
I've always referred to it as my Mount Rushmore of comics.
Yeah.
So I think I would be more.
I'm a
split
comic.
between
I'm
the
too
4,
lazy to come up with a 4th.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm struggling to come up with a 3rd right now.
It also changes, I think, and I think Shane is one right now that if you ask me who's influencing my sensibility or my sense of humor the most right now, it probably is Shane. But much like you mentioned, I really try not to just emulate everything that I see from him. But just from my whole life, I would have to probably put I'd put Richard Pryor on that list.
Okay,
Just
that's
that
good.
was my dad's guy. I would probably throw.
My mom was a Carlin. That's how I got it. My mom introduced me to George Carlin when I was way too young to be introduced to George Carlin.
Yeah.
She was
Same
watching
for me
HBO
with-
specials, and I was not getting dick jokes. I just thought the banana part was so.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. Pryor was your dad's guy.
Yep.
Carlin was my mom's guy.
Yeah, I would go. I go Eddie and Pryor there because they were both. They were both his main cup of tea. Like that's who I was introduced to for stand up. And then honestly, going even further backwards, I would. It's so tough, man. I'm such a comedy
thought of
nerd.
my 3rd.
I'm such a comedy nerd. I would probably put Red Fox somewhere in there too.
Yeah.
I would probably throw
You
him
big
in.
dummy.
Yeah, just the the contrast between Sanford and Son and his stand-up is just mesmerizing to me. I always was like, oh, that's not who he really is. That
So filthy.
I own every album of his on
That's
vinyl.
good.
I've got them all.
Good.
He's probably on there too. And then, newer people. I don't know, man. I'm all over.
See, my new guy would
I'm
be
all
Daniels,
over.
Chad Daniels. He's the only
He's great.
living member
Yeah.
of my holy trinity.
My shout out to my boy Lee Kimbrell. He just headlined our last Don't Tell. He was talking to me about opening for Chad Daniels the week prior in Cincinnati, and
shit.
apparently Chad's a great dude. and
We're friends on Facebook, and
Yeah.
he actually sent me an autographed copy of Footprints on the Moon.
Oh,
that's
sick.
cool.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's
So
really cool.
Chad's the bomb.
I thought about my Trinity.
Okay.
My
Okay.
first 2 definitives:
All
Nate
right.
Bargatze, Hassan Minaj.
All right.
Love both of them.
I knew those two.
I'm not a big fan of Hassan, but I love Nate Bargatze.
You don't like Hassan?
It's okay.
Storytelling, dude.
I don't hate him. But,
I think Homecoming, and I told Pruitt this after Mike. I think Homecoming, which is his first Netflix special, is the best hour and a half of comedy I've seen in the last ever.
Okay.
I love it.
Isn't it funny how different?
Yeah.
But
I do love Nate. Fucking Who Ate My Burger is one of the best jokes.
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
I was so glad when I saw him do it live. He did that. He was like, I didn't do a bunch of classics. I was like, you did the one I care about. You did Who Ate My Burger.
Yeah.
That's great.
Who Ate My Burger?
Yeah.
The third one. Now this one is with an asterisk because it's one special.
Aziz.
Okay.
No, I do love Aziz.
I love Aziz.
But Chris Porter's Ugly and Angry.
Chris Porter is fucking hilarious.
That particular special is. I've seen that special more.
Is that the one with? Do I think it's gonna be? You're gonna need a sweater.
Yes.
Holy shit! Even if it was able to drop, it would still be 88 fucking degrees.
That is the best joke I have ever. Do you know? Have you seen that special, Ugly and Angry?
Yeah.
No, so that's the one that you and I agreed that I had to pick a special for you to watch, and I had to watch that one, but I forgot to ever.
I get tired of having to explain the black clothes to people, who the black crows are to people.
Yeah, dude. I don't. Chris Porter's other specials, I've seen them, and they're funny.
But that's the best one.
I mean,
Wonka
it is.
Me.
God,
I walked in the salon. I said, "Wonka me."
Yeah, dude,
it's so good.
Funniest fucking.
Yeah.
Give me your whatever.
And it's another one of those where his look helps sells it. He has a funny look,
right?
And that does
those like fucking jeans are hilarious.
Yeah,
looking.
if you look funny, that gives you a leg up. I mean, like living proof right here.
Sure,
right?
Not only
me too,
not only the sweater joke, but the joke about those guys going to Iraq.
Oh, yeah. My dad wears a fucktard, and sometimes you got to punch a fucktard to save their life.
Yeah, dude. Such a funny. Anyway, we do have to wrap it up.
I want to say real quick, this is why I love this show, just for the record.
This has been a lot of fun.
Because
Thank you all for having me.
There are people listening right now who aren't stand-up comedy fans, and they're like, what language are they speaking? But we are literally speaking
We're talking
a different
bits.
language. Yeah,
We're talking
bits.
There it is.
That's why I love this
I
show.
wish
Yeah.
that was the last thing it said, so I could just. No, I'm just. No.
And cut. Yeah. Roll credits.
Do you have any social medias, any shows, anything like that you want to plug?
So I'm on Facebook. I'm an old fart, right? I'm a Gen X guy, so I barely did Facebook. I don't have any other social media, but I do have a couple things coming up. I actually will be opening for Steve Hofstetter in Asheville in July, so that's a big one. Yeah, I'm going to be opening up for Hofstetter. I've got the final show at Blue Ridge coming up. I don't know when this will come out, but I'll be doing next Saturday's show, the 8th at Blue Ridge.
So it'll be out.
So I think that's the final.
Yeah.
I think that's
actually. I'm on Friday. I think you're on Friday too.
I'm on Friday.
Me and Nathaniel are doing that Friday show.
Okay.
And you'll be on
the 7th.
Saturday?
Yeah, the 8th.
So that comes out. This comes out the 7th. So
Great. So listen to it that morning. Go see your shows that night. Come see me the next day.
Absolutely.
So but that's about the
tomorrow.
only big thing I got coming up for sure. I've got a few other little gigs I can't think of off the top of my head.
Do you want to plug a couple Don't Tell dates real quick? While you're,
I was going to say that.
Do you want to put me on those and then we can talk
say,
about it? I mean,
let's announce a date right now. Let's.
Well, he's not on the June 8th show. We do know that.
That's true. That's true.
That's true. This will be out tomorrow, so I can't tell you exactly who else is going to be.
By the time you listen to this, hopefully I'll have been on some Don't Tell Shit dates. You can put this joke backwards together in your head and find it funny. So.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
no, he'll be if you guys enjoyed Lance, definitely. I'll just say this: come to some Don't Tells coming up soon because there's a chance you'll see him and a couple other former guests of the show.
There's always a chance you'll see people. That's
and
how
a
they
host.
fucking work.
You just never know. You just never know.
And a host.
And you don't tell.
Thank y'all for having me, guys. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, man.
Missed this kind of stuff.
Michael Rose Comedy on Instagram, Talkin Bits Pod on Instagram and YouTube.
Yes, on YouTube. So if you've listened to this episode, you've made it to the end. Now go to YouTube and watch it back from the beginning again.
We could use the listens.
Yes, enjoy the fact that Michael and I are both wearing baseball hats today. You can only know that from the video.
I didn't get them,
and I have some very short shorts. I look down and I realize I don't know if my legs are in this camera.
Oh, they are gonna be,
bro.
Your boy here controls the video editing, and those thighs will shine. I'll put it
listen,
that way.
I got a little bit of tan. I was at Dollywood yesterday. At least it's not as white as it could have been. But anyway, NLB_423 is Nathaniel on Instagram.
Don't Tell Tri-Cities. If you're listening to this today, that means our next Don't Tell show is tomorrow. Brand new venue, 2 shows, early and late. Headliner out of Nashville. Arguably one of the biggest comics coming out of Nashville right now, if not the biggest.
What city? Can you say that?
Where is it? Johnson City.
Johnson
City.
Yeah.
Yes, it's in Johnson City. Thank you. New venue in Johnson City, and it's gonna be phenomenal. 2 amazing locals on the show. One reoccurring former guest of the show who may or may not be a Chronicle guest. I'll put that out there. And he's going to destroy. So for our regular listeners, you know who I'm talking about. It's going to be great. We got some more shows coming up real quick. Let me plug. June 29th is Don't Tell's 7-year anniversary.
Oh, I didn't realize Don't Tell was
been going that long.
I thought Don't Tell was like a year
well,
old.
Apparently, in the first few years, people did their fucking job.
While you're looking that up.
You didn't know that. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
June 15th, I'm in a show in Kingsport.
As am I. Yeah.
Yeah.
As am I. Yeah.
At some fucking place that I can never think of the name of.
It's the 6 Grit and Grind.
6 Grit and Grind.
That's for Grampy. That's going to be a fun show. So June 29th is our 7-year anniversary. It is a special show for that reason. Like they're throwing in some different arrangements, some special kind of things going on in the show. So it's a big celebration. That's going to be a fucking party. June 29th. Then coming up in July, I've got July 13th. I literally almost said the headliner because I'm reading it. He's a very, 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 very popular figure on social media who is an amazing dude. I've done shows with him. That's going to be phenomenal.
Matt Rife.
Late July, I've already teased once. I don't have it locked in just yet, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have a wonderful headliner, and she is going to do an amazing job. And then in August, I'm almost hesitant to even say it. There's a chance we'll have a Kill Tony regular coming on in August. There's a chance we got a big name. I'll tell you guys right after we wrap. But definitely, if you have not been to a Don't Tell show, these next 4 or 5 in a row are just going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. So check us out.
Love it.
Cities. Yep.
Well, follow us everywhere, and we'll catch you all next week. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Laters.